performance is not equal to authority, and performance is more attention seeking, whereas authority is based on clarity. Most people confuse the two. I chose to have clear positioning. I chose not to be on the bus of always having to feel like I constantly had to prove myself. To me, in operating in that authority, are you really trying to build something that you are recognized for, or are you, again, just wanting to be seen? It's defining my positioning, it's structuring the messaging, and it's having a sustainable flow. Welcome back, Bold Move Besties, to another episode of She Built Success. I'm your host, Claudia. Let's get on into it. When I knew it was time to evolve my business, I was met with a specific fear. One that, in hindsight, or I guess in even having conversations, I'm learning a number of experienced leaders and entrepreneurs are also asking privately, which is how do I move in my authority while still in transition without performing? And let me preface what I mean by, or give some context to what I mean by performing. So things like the trendy dances, like on the TikToks and whatnot, or flashy content, or just basically like algorithm servitude. My reflection in really understanding, why do I have this fear? What I came up with was performance is not equal to authority, and performance is more attention seeking, whereas authority is based on clarity. And most people confuse the two. And by no fault of your own, like I said, it's just, for me, there was some processing that I had to do to say, okay, like, why do I feel this way? Why do I feel like this is a fear? And don't get me wrong. There were seasons where performance worked when I was younger, and now it's like, not can I perform or am I going to perform, but more like, do I want to? And it's like, dude, no, I don't got time for that. And I'll give you an example. Last year I had, actually a couple years ago, but put together a whole course that was centered around government contracting. And I put an ad within the podcast for it. I talked about it on social. And because of different factors that, frankly, I couldn't control, administration changes, policy changes, it made the program, while still relevant, much more difficult to try to promote. Now, I could have been loud. I could have been, definitely promoting it more, but I took a step back. And what I realized was that in order to show up as me fully and honor what I put in terms of time and effort for this program, I wanted to pull it. So I pulled it. And I chose instead to have a more centered and calm visibility. I chose to have clear positioning, and I chose not to be on the bus of always having to feel like I constantly had to prove myself. So tell me, I'm just curious, take a break for just a second. Are you team performance or team authority? Let me know in the chat which one you are. But to me, performance asks, like, how do I stay seen? Like, how do I stay in the forefront? And it's not top of mind. It's more showy to me. When I'm using the word performance, I mean showy. Whereas authority to me is, what am I known for? And that is, for me, authority, I'm team authority, is where I resonate the most with. Performance chases things like attention. Authority builds recognition. And to me, recognition compounds. we are in season, at the time of this recording, season 4 of the podcast. And we are almost 100 episodes in. And that's been consistency. So whether you're in the midst of a transition like me, a repositioning, or even a quest to make an impact, you need to build authority. And authority less performance, to me, shows up in 3 ways. Now, in reflecting for me what authority actually meant and how I'm going to be present in this transition without being showy and performy is being able to define my positioning. And well, that's actually, let me take a step back. Let me just say what the 3 are, and then I can go into each of them. So it's defining my positioning, it's structuring the messaging, and it's having a sustainable flow, right? So to me, defining that position is clear. It's not, I'm serving everybody, and it's not reactive to whatever's going on right now. And I want it to be clear enough so that when someone says, and we're going to use me example. Somebody says, oh, well, Claudia is the one who helps you get grounded and she helps you define a clear path forward. Like, that's how I want to be known. That's how I want to be recognized. And reflecting on the presence that I wanted to have, I kind of changed up some stuff, right? I'll get into probably a little bit on the methodologies and the processes that I went through to do that. But for the moment, just know that I did have to change some things in order to have that clear, defined positioning. The second one, like I said, was structured messaging. And I'm not talking about rigidity in your messaging, but more so I'm talking about like, what are the core areas or themes that you're able to comfortably go deep into, right? So for me, one of my, and I won't list them all, but one of my core areas or core themes is what I'm calling like structural clarity. And again, structure is not rigidity. And so I'll give you an example of what like structural clarity looks like. So within that, I help experienced women redefine what they've built, strengthen their structure, and I move forward with grounded clarity. To me, if I'm able to bring that to light, if I'm able to have my clients have that feeling and have something tangible to go with it, then I'm operating in the parameters of what it means to be in that alignment. Now, even in that alignment, you still have to be consistent. And that whole like sustainability and what it looks like is, for me, being able to fit into my current lifestyle. Like, I'm not looking to be on social, every hour. And I'm definitely not into the theatrical side of social. It's just not my jam. And so I have more of an intentional presence. And so I'm on there and I'm commenting, and I mean, that's across platforms. I'm commenting, I'm engaging, I'm DMing. Like, I like to do that because I get to know a person, and I'd like to think they get to know me as long as there's like mutual interaction. Now, of course, you have people out there who have other intentions, ill intent sometimes, or just want to pitch you something that's annoying. But, I do try to build those kind of relationships, both on and off social. So, I mean, to me, in operating in that authority, are you really trying to build something that you are recognized for, or are you, again, just wanting to be seen? And what I do want to talk about in the next episode is revenue and what that looks like without having to completely dismantle what you've already put together. Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes the dismantling has to happen, or some version of it. But really, once you stop on the performance side, you're able to see how revenue can then align and be in flow with where you are. So, how do you grow that revenue without demolishing everything? Like, nobody wants to do that, especially when you have the experience. You just don't want to necessarily, I mean, there's always exceptions, but necessarily want to just completely dismantle everything. So for now, I want you to remember this. It's not about being louder. And this is to me too, because I'm not necessarily a loud presence on social, but I'm definitely on social. And for me, it's about leaving a level of recognition with every interaction that I have. And in order to do that, it takes that build on being clear with what I'm looking for and what I want to communicate out. But at the same time, it takes real conversation. So yeah, I want to know, are you team authority or team performance? Let me know in the comments. Until next time, Bomu Besties, I'll catch you on the next episode of She Built Success. Bye.